Good morning, West Coast and East Coast. Good evening, Europe. Good night, India and Asia. We're very excited to welcome you to the third annual virtual summit on AgTech, hosted by the Center for Private Equity and Venture Capital at the Tuck School of Business and by the Tuck Food and Agriculture Club. We're thrilled to have more than 80 speakers and 600 attendees, 13 hours of presentations, making this summit one of the largest events on AgTech in the world. Everything has been coordinated from the beautiful town of Hanover, New Hampshire. I'm Elizabeth Lenczowski Holmes, a second-year MBA student at Tuck, and I have a strong interest and passion in food, tech, and nutrition.
I'm Robert Sewell. I'm a second-year MBA student as well at Tuck. At Tuck, I founded a clean tech startup, and I'm passionate about solar and next-generation farming technologies. I'm really looking forward to hearing from all the companies over the next few days. I'm so happy that we had this opportunity for us all to be together virtually. Now we're going to kick things off with an outline of what the next few days look like. So this year we've grouped topics by day. On Tuesday, we'll be covering alternative proteins and ingredients as part of our Food for Tomorrow theme.
On Wednesday, we'll be covering innovations in production technologies.
On Thursday, we'll have our Future of Agriculture theme, which will include panels on traceability, robotics, ag marketplaces, and fintech in agriculture. On Thursday, we're also going to have our first ever annual pitch competition. We'll have 4 finalists participating for a cash prize and one-on-one meetings with VCs. Now we're going to spend the next few minutes discussing ag tech broadly, what it is, why we need it, and some of the trends that we see in the space. So what is AgTech? AgFunder, whose founder, Rob Leclerc, who will be speaking in today's summit, coined the term agri-food tech. In a broad sense, agri-food tech is the intersection of technology and innovation across the food supply chain, all the way from agriculture to food and CPG.
So who cares about AgTech? Why is it important? AgTech touches a variety of spaces beyond just food and ag, including business, politics, industry, healthcare, technology, and more.
For this conference, our purpose was to establish a conversation across the 3 main levels of AgTech: investors, startups, and large players. All 3 of these groups are necessary to disrupt the food value chain. On the investor side, we'll have venture capital funds participating, as well as the venture arms of established companies. In the startup space, we'll hear from lots of companies operating all over the world. And we are also going to hear from industry leaders and corporate representatives who are working to change the ag tech industry. So that segues into our next slide. Why do we need ag tech?
The system of farming needs to be modernized and brought forward from the industrial age into the digital age. The problems we face with regard to agriculture can be broadly categorized into 2 buckets: quantity and quality. On the quantity side, we don't have enough food to feed ourselves, or we won't in the future, and we won't have enough food relative to the inputs that we need to produce such food. The population is projected to reach 9.8 billion by 2050, and studies project that we'll need to grow twice as much food as we do today to avoid food security issues. Climate change is making it more difficult to feed the world by conventional measures. So how does AgTech address these problems? AgTech is looking for ways to do more with less, to find ways to increase yield without burdening overtaxed resources. Over the next few days, we're excited to have the opportunity to hear from companies that are creating AI-powered agribots, apps to allow farmers to monitor their crops in real time, and marketplaces to allow farmers to sell surplus produce.
On the quality side, the food that we have is problematic. Too many foodborne illnesses, too large a contribution to climate change, and too much waste is produced. 1 in 10 people fall ill every year from eating contaminated food, and 420,000 people die each year as a result, making traceability a really important topic. Consumers increasingly want to know where their food is coming from, how it was produced, and the quality of ingredients. Over the next few days, you'll hear from companies building supply chain platforms to identify food contamination. The global food system is responsible also for a significant amount of greenhouse gas emissions, more than transport, heating, lighting, and air conditioning combined. Almost 30% of the world's ice-free land is used to raise livestock. Relative to plant-based agriculture, meat production has a much higher impact with regards to water use, land required, and waste generated. Increased consumption of plant-based foods will reduce the impact on the environment. Over the next few days, you'll hear from companies producing lab-grown meat, plant-based alternatives, and alternative dairy products. On the waste front, over 1 billion tons of food is wasted every year, a third of the total produced. The amount of food lost or wasted is estimated $2.6 trillion annually, and it's clear that we need to become more efficient in our food production system. Now we'll talk about some of the trends we see happening in the ag tech space. In many ways, the trends we're seeing in ag tech mirror what we're seeing in society overall. People are increasingly demanding transparency. This rise in transparency is we're seeing a lot of impact on analytics, traceability. People also increasingly value personalization and the end of a one-size-fits-all approach. At the same time, people are looking for efficiency and cost savings.
On the upstream side, or the areas preceding the retailer, some trends we're seeing include farming as a service, which offers subscription and pay-per-use farming solutions, digital marketplaces, allowing farmers to buy inputs directly or rent or lease equipment, AI-based farming, or digital agronomy, and the Internet of Things, where AI and data are helping farmers to analyze real-time soil conditions, identify plant diseases, and harvest crops. And also fintech and ag tech, where we're seeing an intersection as some companies are bringing new financial solutions to agriculture.
On the downstream side, or post-retailer, what we're seeing is some alternative and plant-based food products, innovative CPG products, vertical, hydroponic, and underground farming, which can help alleviate pressures on finite resources such as land, and digital supply chains traceability, companies looking for solutions that allow us to know where and how our food is made. And lastly, farm to fork, or what we like to call consumer-oriented food production, and customers are increasingly demanding customized food. Now, as the virtual summit on ag tech is a Tuck School of Business event, we of course need to talk about some of the finances of the industry. In 2020, agri-food tech startups raised $26 billion with nearly a 50-50 split between upstream and downstream. This was a 15% increase over 2019. Approximately 51% of invested dollars went to US-based companies. China sat at number 2 in the total number of large downstream deals.
And in 2020, there were over 3,000 deals across upstream and downstream categories in agri-food tech. The greatest volume of deals came from food safety and traceability, logistics and transport and processing technology, which make up midstream technologies, as well as e-grocer technology. And we expect the number of deals to continue to increase in the future. As we wrap up our intro, we'd like to note that this conference is coming at a timely moment in human history as we grapple with the impact of COVID-19 and the pandemic. We're seeing in real time how the pandemic is accelerating the shift toward technological innovations in agriculture and food. Concerns about the pandemic and the necessity of maintaining our food supply chains have pushed many businesses in the industry to increase their investments in automating technology. In a push towards greater efficiency and scale to meet the needs of the future, industry leaders have invested in robotics for use on the farm, all the way to use in restaurants. While we've witnessed devastating loss during the pandemic, we're also starting to see startups pop up left and right, responding to the difficulties posed by this pandemic. The disruption of the pandemic means that larger companies will also have to change as well. We believe agri-food tech will continue to innovate and tackle some of the world's biggest problems.
Some final words as we wrap up our introductory remarks. The virtual summit on AgTech is hosted by the Tuck Center for Private Equity and Venture Capital in collaboration with the Tuck Food and Agriculture Club. The conference aims to expand access to trends and issues in agriculture and technology. The conference, now in its third year, is designed to be accessible. It's available anywhere with internet, and we've kept the registration fee, which all goes entirely to charity at very low cost. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors who helped make this possible. Cargill, Rabobank, Calyx, Land O'Lakes, Cabot, and Silicon Valley Bank.
And this year, we're very excited to join forces with our charity partner, the Susu Community Farm, which is an Afro-Indigenous stewarded farm and land-based healing center in southern Vermont, nearby to Tuck, that elevates Vermont's land and foodways. Susu Community Farm offers life-affirming spaces for Black, Indigenous, and people of color to thrive. All proceeds from this summit and our registration fees will go directly towards Susu Community Farm. We'd also like to thank Jim Foy, the Executive Director for the Center for Private Equity and Venture Capital at Tuck, and Eileen O'Toole, the Assistant Director for the Center, and our 20 student volunteers without whom none of this would be possible.
So first off, thank you to everyone. Thank you to the viewers. Thank you to all the participants. We're really excited. We encourage a highly participated discussion in the chat, and we'd love to see any questions you have in real time. If you're active on social media, we also encourage you to follow our Twitter, Instagram feeds at Virtual Summit AT, and use the hashtags TuckAgTechSummit and TuckAgTech. Now, let's hear from our first speaker, Dennis Woodside, the president of Impossible Foods.